Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's time to talk about the latest development that's been occurring in the Hoyoverse space, and that is even more toxicity from the community. And the community that we'll be talking about today is probably one that you expected. It's Honkai Star Rail. And what you'll see on my screen is actually the scene right before where the community is crashing out and actually sending death threats to its developers. Are you guys ready for it? I'm about to show you it. From the Deliverer trailer, this is what is causing drama. Yep, Cyrene, one of the new Honkai Star Rail units, held hands with the main character from Honkai Star Rail. The main character that can be one of two genders. And it appears that in this situation, because the gender shown over here is a male, well, people aren't really having a fun time. And I can provide some context for why people might be upset. But before I provide the context, let's actually look at what the reactions were across the space. From the Daily Cyrene account, remove the trigger warning. Boy, where have I seen this before? Surely this didn't happen with the whole Firefly situation and the whole, like, Mina Aoyama thing. With, like, the whole, like, Kalis and Firefly thing. Now it's Kalis and Allesia. Oh, that's kind of recent on the memory. Now we got this. Fuck you, Shao Ji. This is just giving ammunition to the worst kind of people. Ammunition to the worst. I have a question for SOF Everlasting. SOF Everlasting. How do you think you were born? How do you think you were created? Unless you came out of a test tube, this is how you were made. Is somebody that engages in this, are they the worst type of person? Finally seeing people rightfully cursing out Shaoji and HSR, realizing that this game has gotten lazy and complacent because of 2 years of Genshin Could Never, my prayers for HSR's downfall have been heard. This was the straw that broke the camel's back, ladies and gentlemen. This was the straw that broke the camel's back. The main character holding hands with a new limited one. And the thing is, I find it so ironic that people are saying this is now the moment that we gotta turn on Shao Ji. This is now the moment that we gotta start shitting on the writers. When Shao Ji has been running the game into the ground since January of last year. When Penacony first even came out. Bro has been doing this for a year and 6 months. There's no way that now is the only time we're actually starting to call out the quality of his writing. And we're not even calling out the low quality of Penacony or the disaster that has been Amphorius 3.0 to 3.3. We're calling it out because there's a straight ship in the game that might not even be confirmed because your playable character can also be a female. Can also be a woman in-game. But this is what we're going to freak out over. Not any of the other shit that Shaoji has fucked up. Now this is what it is. I find it so crazy that I am now in a position where I'm actually defending Shaoji. But in my defense of Shaoji and his story writing, I'm saying that you should be directing the hate to something completely different. And this is not the thing that should now be taking your attention. How is Shaoji still employed? Like, actually, it was this? Yeah, just... I'm not even going to say it. Guys, is this really that bad? And let me provide some context for why so many members of the Honkai community are finding this bad. I'm somebody that actually played Honkai Impact 3rd, so you can probably take my word for what I'm saying. Cyrene is a character, right? That is a direct XP, or basically a reference to an existing Honkai Impact 3rd character. And they're called Allesia. You can clearly see over here, yeah, there's a lot of similarities between the two models with, like, the eye color, the blue with, like, the pink, the blue with the pink, obviously the pink hair, and the white aesthetic, right? It's pretty cut and paste that Allesia is meant to be Cyrene, Cyrene is meant to be Allesia. And one thing that happens in the lore is that this Allesia character shares a very close relationship to another one that exists in the Honkai universe. And that one is called Raiden Mei. Raiden Mei in this situation over here, right, builds a very close relationship to Allesia during the Elysian Realms arc, and people assume that they're lesbians for each other. Naturally, right? Allesia is like a very like flirty sort of character, and they just have like interactions and stuff, but nothing is like actually confirmed. She's actually like the wife of the main character, Kiana Kaslana, in the actual lore. And so these two characters interacting during the Elysian Realm arc has confirmed to a lot of players that Allesia is a lesbian, right? And so them having a similar appearance, Allesia and Cyrene, is leading to a lot of people assuming at a baseline that Cyrene also has to be a lesbian too, also has to be Yuri. And unfortunately, right, if you actually understand the lore of the Hersher of human ego, Allesia actually is like in a relationship with like everybody at the end of the story, and that's kind of like how she ended up like saving the world back in the day. It's kind of like a complicated matter. But the thing is that it's not really that important. It's not really that relevant because they're meant to be different people, different things. That's why Acheron isn't actually Raiden Mei in Honkai Star Rail story, even though Acheron is an XP of this character. They're completely fucking different. And Honkai Impact 3rd themselves even has Kevin Kaslana, who is the who Finon is an XP for. Kevin Kaslana, yeah, he looks just like Finon. He is married to another version of Raiden Mei in the lore of this game. So even Honkai Impact 3rd has a bunch of straight relationships, a bunch of XPs, a bunch of people in like different sort of relationships where like Finon is like shipped with like Maide. Kevin Kaslana married a woman. She's marrying like everybody essentially at this point. And the end result is, ladies and gentlemen, people are using some of their pre-existing notions, some of their pre-existing understandings of the story to lead themselves into this whole belief that whatever happened 10 years ago, it's more like 5 or 6 or 7 years ago during the Elysian Realm arc, they're saying 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, all of the stuff and the same story beats need to happen again. Otherwise, we should do this to the writer. Ladies and gentlemen, these people are ridiculous. And don't worry, there's more. Shao Ji needs to, well, you let me know what you think is censored over here. They deserve the hate for this slop. Free Allesia from Shao Ji. Seriously, you get a one-hit wonder and suddenly all you can do is repeat the same story. May Shao Ji never pick up a pen again. Welcome to HSR. We got Yuri Erasure, Bad DID Rep, Aura Moments and Hype, and 6 patches of recycled HI3 story. We need to blank Shao Ji. I'm not even joking anymore. Guys, this is literally the straw that broke the camel's back. It hasn't been the last 18 months of poor quality story. It hasn't been the last 18 months of terrible plot points and actual real issues and problems. The reason why people are freaking out right now is because of one thing: a straight ship for a main character that can also just be the other gender. Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this exposure, right? This breakdown, this look into what is actually causing the drama here can solidify for you what an actual toxic gacha community can look like. And this is where I'm going to redirect it back, of course, to my main game, Wuthering Waves. Because a lot of the drama recently, obviously, right, surrounding the story, the Wuthering Waves 2.5 story situation, people are saying that Wuwa is now on like the same level of toxicity, right? That it's now like a game where people are reacting to critiques, criticism, so on and so forth to the same degree as Hoyoverse titles. I think that until the Wuwa community is openly sending death threats to its developers for having straight ships in the game, or sorry, openly sending death threats to its developers for having ships in the game, I don't think we can really make that claim. I really don't think we can make that analysis. When the Hoyoverse community is on the record sending death threats to Dewey for having bunny girl skins in Honkai Impact 3rd, I don't think we can really be making comparisons over here. Because guess what? Oh wait, Wuwa has already done this like 17 times. Oh right. We've already seen what the Wuthering Waves community's reaction to something like this is, y'all remember version 1.3 with Shorekeeper? Y'all remember version, I don't know, 2.4 with like the after story with Lupa? The after story with Cartithia? Y'all remember version 2.0 with the Carlotta story quest? That moment, right, where we hold her and then naturally, right, all the other stuff that follows afterwards? Yeah, the community kind of has not been toxic at all about that. But this is the response to a trailer. Let's just see how many seconds it is. 2 seconds. They're calling for the death of their developer for 2 seconds of trailer footage. There's no way. There's no way we're at the point where we can even equate these communities. It's a little bit poetic that this drama surrounding HSR is occurring right after this drama with Wuthering Waves 2.5 in the story. And so you can literally see what the two parallels are in this situation. And the reactions, or really the difference in reactions across the communities. Because like I mentioned before, the drama for 2.5 is getting to a pretty crazy spot. A lot of people are saying some wild things about the Wuwa community and coming to some incomplete conclusions, from my point of view. Making those comparisons, saying it's as bad as Hoyo, as bad as Genshin, as bad as HSR, and as bad as ZZZ. And it's poetic that this all comes to a head right as this discussion is happening, so we can demonstrably prove that Wuwa's community is not even close to as bad as whatever the fuck we are seeing over here. It just keeps going. I could just keep going, brother. I could do this all day. I feel like Captain America. It just keeps... It literally doesn't stop. I could... It's insane. It is absolutely insane what unemployed people can do, ladies and gentlemen. And as we're seeing over here, this is probably the most ridiculous situation we've seen yet. But it's not surprising to me at all that this is the reaction of the community as a whole. And to be honest here, it's also a little bit unhinged that somebody like Kurto Fiction actually spent so much time compiling all of this. Brother, this must have taken the motherfucker at least like an hour or two to do this. I don't even know if this person's a Hoyo shill or not. They got that Lumine profile picture. That's the situation that's going on over here. If I were to give a sort of like final wrap up, a final thought of it, the HSR community is unhinged. It's one of the worst ones in the space. And you'll find similar discussions like this across Genshin Impact. And I think like the main takeaway as a whole is that with the HSR community being directly linked to the Honkai Impact 3rd one, a lot of like those very toxic like lore heads and shippers from that franchise have found their way into this one. A massive overreaction like this to 2 seconds of trailer footage, and also knowing that this character can literally, in canon, be a female too, is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. And just like absurd overreactions to a situation that is just not even slightly worthy of it. I think it just shows, once again, what you're getting yourself into when you engage with this type of community. And I'm going to be honest, having engaged with the Wuwa community almost every single day over the past year and a half, it's never gotten even close to this. And I thank God every day that I don't have to deal with idiots like this, because I think I would lose my sanity. Hey, W, Mr. Pokey. So yeah, that'll be that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you all thought about this one. Peace.